What's up, Barnhill family, and welcome back to your home for all things combat sports.
Yo-yo.
So, Nick, Pereira versus Błachowicz wasn't exactly the fireworks fight that we had hoped for. Still a good technical fight nonetheless, but I think we need to make note about how many improvements Alex has made since coming into the UFC. I mean, this was a guy that was substantially out-grappled by Bruno Silva not that long ago, and now he's in there in what is essentially a title elimination fight with Jan Błachowicz, who's got some of the best grappling in the division, and he was able to get through it and get his hand raised. What did you make of Poatan's performance?
Well, I have to say, I was very impressed with Poatan. And a lot of people look at his record in MMA as just an extension of his combat sports record. And while that is true, MMA is a very different sport than the sport he came from. And I think that there was a lot of ground that he needed to cover in a very little bit of time, and he actually did it. You know, to only have a record like 8-2 and to now have victories over two UFC world champions under your belt just speaks volumes to how much this guy's improving and how good he actually is. Now we're talking about him being the #1 contender in two different weight classes, right? I mean, he already did his thing at 185. Now he's basically the #1 contender at 205, and he's fighting the best people in these divisions only a few fights into his UFC career. So Alex deserves a lot of credit, and the way he was able to stay composed against another former champion last night just speaks volumes to his experience with combat sports. I really love everything he's doing there, and I think that even though this fight wasn't some sort of blockbuster fireworks extravaganza, the elevation played a role, probably more so in Jan Błachowicz than anybody else on the entire card. But Alex Pereira was utilizing his energy in a very smart way because he didn't want to blow all of his gas with a big burst or a big finishing sequence that didn't get the tough and durable Jan Błachowicz out of there.
Yeah, no doubt. Jan Błachowicz was really gassed in that fight. The elevation played a factor. He was totally zapped of energy after that first round.
Right.
And you even see it. The bigger guys just have a hard time at elevation. Look at Derek Lewis. He was like, you know what? We're not dealing with this.
No.
Jorge Masvidal's in the crowd. We're going flying knee right out of the gate. And he even told Joe Rogan he did not expect for that to happen. Shout out to the Black Beast getting back in the win column.
Who knew 30 seconds in the octagon would make you so hot that you have to take your pants off and chop the entire audience?
I'm telling you, he was like dripping sweat like it had been a 5-round fight, but he is always uber exciting. But circling back to Błachowicz, he unfortunately was not able for him to get the finish in the first round. But make no mistake about it, Alex Pereira was in real danger when Jan Błachowicz took his back and put that body triangle in. Yeah. And he did an excellent job fighting the choke. Obviously, his rounds with Glover Teixeira on the grappling front are really starting to pay dividends for him. And while he's never going to be a submission ace in the UFC, being able to get out of bad moments like he got out of with Jan Błachowicz is what will give him the opportunities to win fights with his striking. But if he gets taken down and submitted, that's it. We're going home and you got a loss on your record. So I can't stress enough how important being teamed up with Glover is for Alex and will be going throughout the rest of his career. Now, Jamal Hill said that these guys are puppies compared to him and he can't wait to come back. I think in a lot of ways, if Jamal can heal up and be ready for the end of the year or early next year, he really probably didn't even have to vacate the belt. We could just make Alex versus Jamal for the undisputed. But either way, it's going to be for the undisputed belt when they step in the cage. And I think that's the next fight that the UFC will make, will be Hill versus Poatan. And I think that's a really interesting matchup because Poatan is a very technical kickboxer and Jamal Hill is an ultra powerful puncher who's able to find his mark most of the time.
Me too. And while I predicted that Jan Błachowicz versus Alex would have been a very fun, exciting fireworks type of fight, I guarantee that Jamal Hill versus Alex
Take
Pereira,
it to the bank.
Yeah, that one you can just guarantee. As long as they don't do it at elevation. They need to leave these guys out of Salt Lake City and Denver. Go take them down to sea level, maybe Miami or something, and let them duke it out there. Because I think Jamal Hill will stand there and try to trade with Alex all night long. And while he doesn't near have the accolades that Alex Pereira has, he just knows how to win fights. He knows how to land those heavy hands. And I think that that fight could be very exciting for the fans. But I want to circle back to your point about Alex's basically target on his back for being taken to the ground. And Jan Błachowicz did a great thing in that first round. I mean, he didn't waste any time. He got right in, closed the distance, and took the fight where he thought he could get it done. Alex Pereira has been dealing with people like Glover Teixeira and other great fighters in his camp on his back since he got into the UFC. There was no time to waste. He's probably spending countless hours with great fighters and black belts on his back. And I don't think that they're trying to necessarily teach him how to get them off of his back. I think that the guys at the UFC level that want to get in there with Alex Pereira just so they can try to choke him out or just so they can beat him, via submission, are really, really good and really, really difficult to get off of your back. So Alex understands that he's probably not going to be able to shuck these guys off, and he's going to have to zap all of his energy if he does want to do that. So they've taught him really good hand fighting. They've taught him how to, basically just not get submitted, concede the round, and just move on to the next one, fresh coat of paint, and then get back out there all round, start on the feet, and that's where he shines brightest. So I think Alex Pereira really understands how to defend himself on the ground intelligently. I don't see Jamal Hill looking for submissions in that fight, which could significantly increase the chances of Alex winning that fight and winning it by finish, which is exactly what the crowd wants to see. But if Jan Błachowicz is able to get to your back and not able to submit you, that means you've been working on the right things.
Yeah, take it to the bank, and I guarantee that Alex versus Jamal is a fireworks fight, and that one does not go the distance, but it also does not need to be at elevation either. Can we just implement a rule that every weight class above 170 should not be contested at elevation? Let's just keep the elevation fights for the smaller guys and put the big boys on the cards that are closer to sea level.
Yeah, I'm totally here for that. And I feel bad saying that to all the people that live way up in the mountains that want to see some of their favorite fighters fight. But as fans, we want to see the best possible fights and the best possible athletes perform at their highest level. And when you have these guys fighting at 6,000, 5,000 elevation, you're just not going to get the best product.
Well said.